enjoy it real long. It bothers me that it's no longer called the Atlantis. Okay, so you guys seem to be a regular group of skateboarders here, doing tricks up and down the rails on the monument itself. I was just wondering, do you guys happen to know what this monument is?
I have no idea.
No?
No.
You have no idea at all? You know why it's here? No? Okay.
High above Foley Square, the sculpture symbolizes freedom and endurance. Besides its universal message, it was created with the artist's own personal history in mind, and its granite base contains a replica of the inherited lock and key, which were used to enslave his great-grandfather, Steve Pace.
In 1991, construction workers found the intact remains of almost 400 slaves found underneath the park. The government commissioned an artist to make a memorial for the remains found in the park.
Lorenzo Pace had just come back from Birmingham, Alabama to bury his father in 1991. When he came back, he read the New York Times, and it had a front-page article on the burial ground. Precincts of Art called artists to submit proposals for the monument. 300 to 400 artists applied. They narrowed it down to 5, and Lorenzo happened to be one of them, and they chose him.
You can see with this monument, the designer and sculptor had to keep the area in mind. It's clearly site-specific art. Over here, we have the New York State Supreme Court. We have the Thurgood Marshall Court over here. And then over here, right to the left of the monument, you have the United States International Trade Court. Again, all re-emphasizing the theme of justice in this area, and showing that the slaves and their justice when they were freed from their slavery, which is again one of the major points of this art piece, is really shown by the culture and the importance of this area.
It was made in honor of the Bamana people of West Africa. And the vertical portion, right here, the large jutting to the sky peak, that actually represents headdresses called the chawara that represent the male and female aspects of an antelope, which was a traditional headdress used in dances and rituals in the Mali culture. This horizontal plane that the chawara is resting on, that is a representation of boats and canoes. The canoes for when the Native Americans would use to transport themselves, the slave ships that carried the slaves from Africa over to the Americas, and the boats that would later take immigrants and people willingly to America. So the boat is starting to rest on a small block. That block of granite, which has text about the sculpture itself, represents the land. That represents New York City.
And one could also see an alternate possible interpretation of this work. You could see that maybe the arrows pointing up represents their culture, their spirit, their people rising above what the lower parts represent, the boats that they were used to be transported for their slavery, and the land that they were slaves on. Shows that they were able to triumph above everything that they had to go through.
It was just sort of a happenstance that Lorenzo had received the lock that enslaved his great-grandfather. So he made a replica of the lock and buried it as part of the monument, which connects his family with the slave operation family here in New York.
I am motivated to make art which may inspire others to think about life and death, about how they stand apart and also cling to each other, about how immediately both conditions are present in the visible and the invisible world. Viewers may be motivated to question their perception about the absence, the fullness, the value, and necessity of caring for themselves, others, our planet, and its occupants. Lorenzo Pace, the year 2000.